Yeah, boy, it's September 16th, and this is episode 90, and this is the Fantasy Football Auctioneer. I'm your host, Uncle Buckets. The Fantasy Football Auctioneer is the official podcast of the fantasyfootballauction.com, the internet's only website dedicated to fantasy football auctions. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fantasyfootballauctioneer, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Fantasy Auction. We've got a great show for you tonight. Tonight we're going to take a look back at the insanity. I guess Blister's doing the T25 or whatever. That was week 2. And then we're going to get you prepped for the waiver wire and your roster submissions for week 3. But of course, our experts, they're always here. He finally presented me with the championship trophy from last year, and then he broke it before he gave it to me. Slim, can you spell sour grapes?
Yeah, I hate losing to you. You beat me in the championships, so I smashed it at your feet. When I honestly don't know what happened. I didn't notice that being broken before. I honestly don't think it was when I brought it to work. I think I broke it en route, or I don't know. I really don't think it was broken before when I got it shipped, but I didn't look close. So.
Okay, wow. I picked it up. I thought, no trophy is a trophy unless it breaks. So.
It's all about the trophy. It doesn't matter if it's broken.
I brought it home.
It's the symbolism anyway.
Yeah, my little guy
could have been more bar. Yo,
he loved it. Who's DeMarco Polo? He says, and I tried to explain it. And doesn't make any sense to him.
It's funny. My wife asked the same question, and it probably made as much sense to her as it did to your son. So.
He's 8. Oh, sorry. Hopefully she's not listening.
No, she doesn't. So
okay.
No worries there.
No worries there. All right. And he's finally coming back down to reality after witnessing the New England DST beat up on the Vikings. Blister, did you sleep well on Sunday night?
Yes, I did. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if today my throat is kind of raspy from all the yelling and cheering, or if I'm actually getting a cold. Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, well, I had a little bit of it while we were down there. So, but it was fun to watch a Blister. I don't know. We sat amongst all the Patriots fans, it seemed, and they were wound up. They were spilling beer all over our wives. Blister, after everything, was jumping around, high-fiving, pointing first down, and it was fun to watch a Blister.
At our obnoxious finest, it was awesome.
No, it was
Nothing
good in the
better than chirping Vikings fans in their own stadium.
Oh boy,
there wasn't very many of them around, really.
Every time I go to a game, that's exactly what I do. I don't care who's playing. I'll hold any team but the Vikings, just so I can talk shit to people there.
Well, and we had great seats. The weather was awesome. It was a cool atmosphere being outside when it's warm. It'll be different sitting on that aluminum bench when it's cold out, I'm sure, but that's all right. So
harder than the Hemis, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. You'll want to pack a seat cushion if you're going there later on in the year, because that will be a little frosty.
And note to those people from the cities who are heading to the cities, no hard liquor at the games. Just want to mention that. The wives noticed only beer and cider, so that was a little disappointing. So no purple drinks.
Oh,
and
no
vodka, Bevins, and water.
And the food was sketchy at best, eh, Blister?
At the game?
Yeah, it was like little Domino's pizzas. That was about it. Anyways.
I guess we did have something to eat. I forgot we had anything. Yeah, that wasn't too exciting.
Anyways.
But yeah. I wasn't thinking about the food too much. But yeah. We did eat. That's right.
That is. We sort of ate. All right. Anyways, guys, let's get this thing rolling because week 2 was crazy. So if you guys are ready, then I'm ready. Let's cock the hammer. It's time for action. So like I said before, we've got a great show tonight. We're going to review week 2, and we're going to preview things for week 3. Week free. Before we get things started, I'd like to mention tonight's sponsor, FantasySportsForYou.com. That's the number 4 in the letter U. If you're listening to this podcast, then you're already, I guess we could say, one of those elite fantasy football players. You consistently make the playoffs in your local league, or you're playing in our fan league and, well, beating Blister and Slim, not me. You know the ins and outs of fantasy football, so why not use your knowledge to make some real cash? Fantasy Sports for You and the Fantasy Football Auction have teamed up for the best deal in daily fantasy promotions, the best deal on the internet. It's a 100% catch match on your first deposit. So those other sites offer you the 100%, but it's in bonus. And that bonus trickles in at a rate of 4% of your entry fee, but not at fantasysportsforyou.com. If you sign up through us, click on our banner on our website, mention the promo code auction, you'll receive a 100% cash match on your first deposit of up to $50 that you can use right away on all of entry on all of your games. It's not 4% trickle. It's 100% actual cash to use as entry fees. You won't find that deal anywhere else on the internet. So head on over to our website, thefantasyfootballauction.com. Click on the Fantasy Sports for You banners. Sign up, use promo code auction, and get your free 100% cash match on your first deposit today. So I know we were all three of us were playing in the free roll anyway, so we competed against each other. Fantasy Sports for You. I brought home, I think it was second in that one. Slim, did you pick up third maybe?
Yeah, whatever it was a couple bucks.
A couple bucks,
must
and
have
it's
been
free.
third or something.
Rolls into someone else.
I can't remember if they paid top 5 or whatever.
Something like that. They pay out $50 in the free roll, don't they, Blister?
I think it's down to 30 now.
Down to
I thought it
30
was
now?
50 the first week, but I think it's 30.
All right.
Probably 10 or 20 probably 10 for first place, then 5, and then a couple 3s and a bunch of 2s. I think they pay out top 10.
So I mean, I had a decent week there because the values were good. I actually played Matt Castle because I thought it'd give someone to cheer for, and actually played pretty well for the $1,000 fee. Had a good week, guys. Speaking of Vikings getting beat down, I beat the Canadian Viking in the fan league heftily. In fact, I think he tweeted he's not going to pay to listen to the podcast anymore, which is good because we haven't charged him yet. So that was pretty good. How'd you guys do in the fan league? Blister, how about you?
I was consistent. I lost again this week. I'm 0-2. I lost to, I think it's Jamil Sarani, Team Fiends it's called. He actually thumped me. He got 153 points this week. He would have beat anybody and everybody in our league this week. And actually my score was okay. I had 103. I would have beat half of our league if I would have played against somebody else. But Toby Gerhardt with 2, Marcus Colston was 0.
That
didn't help me.
No.
My best player was New England DST were for 25, but Jordy led the way for him with 35, Delaney Walker 30, Julio 21. So he had a good week. He's 2-0. I'm 0-2. So just excuse me for a sec. I think there's something at the door.
Oh, Slim. How about you? How's your family? Someone at the door. It's a first on the podcast. Anyways, go Slim. He didn't fall out of his chair, so that's good.
I actually squeaked out a win. I'm 1-1. Yeah, Zach Gertz, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that was about it. Nothing crazy. I still hate my team, but whatever. Pierre Garçon tried to cost me the game. Whatever. Overcame adversity. I'm gonna have to do it all year if I want a chance at coming out on top in this one, but we'll see.
Well, speaking of adversity, my dynasty, the quarterback's RG3, and it's slim pickings out there. It's going to be an interesting couple of days here with the waiver wires.
Waivers will be fun the next 24 hours here.
The trades and whatever else, so that's good. So we've...
you know where to go.
I know where to go. Matty Ice, I know, and we got Andrew Luck being dangled in front of me too. So the RG3 injury, that was one of the things, but there was lots of interesting things that happened in week 2. Before we get to that, let's take a look at our first segment, guys. This one is called We Just Got a Letter. So we just got an email, actually, from Renault. He's our auction friend from Brazil. And if you want to email us, you can hit us up at footballauctioneer@gmail.com. So I'm going to send this. Let's go to Blister. Why don't you answer this one? Because you probably read it. His question is, Ahmad Bradshaw and Niall Davis are available in his league. For more depth at RB, he's thinking about dropping Torrey Smith for Bradshaw, or he could drop Mike Evans. But he doesn't think that he'll have but I think he can have some upside. That's Mike Evans in future weeks. So what do you guys think? So Blister, what do you think? Should he drop Torrey Smith for Bradshaw?
I think he should. Torrey Smith hasn't done anything yet this year, and Ahmad Bradshaw, as long as he stays healthy, I mean, that's always been a concern with him, but I think he's producing great fantasy points. He had a great game last night there. And I think, T. Rich actually had a better game than he has had in a long time, but Bradshaw goes in there in third downs. He actually played, I think, 42 to 21 snaps, so he's catching passes, he's making plays, he looks good out there right now, and I think if that's what you're looking for is depth at running back, go get him. And Niall Davis, I do like too. I mean, we don't know how long Charles is going to be out. Typically, a high ankle sprain is.
Well, I hear it's not high ankle now, though. Then it might be a subtalar, so they say it could be a little bit quicker, but
could be sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's another guy that you got to keep an eye on. I don't know how much depth he has at wide receiver. I mean, I'm assuming he's got some.
Yeah, in the email he has the whole roster there, but his real wide receivers are pretty good, actually.
Yeah. What are they? You got it or no?
I don't have the email up, sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, I think, I would probably go for Bradshaw first because if Jamal Charles comes back, Niall's going to kind of slip back into the shadows again. So kind of keep an eye on that. If your waiver wire is deadline tomorrow night, I think I'd prioritize Bradshaw first and then Davis.
All right, so let's go to you because you're good at answering at Falkberg's questions. At Falkberg asked Slim, 14-team PPR league, his quarterbacks are Tannehill and Palmer. How much of his FOB money should he drop on Kirk Cousins?
Well, if I have those two guys, I'm actually going to drop probably quite a bit. I'm thinking maybe upwards of 10%, something around there. I mean, it all depends on your quarterback situation, but if you've got some really late streamers and, maybe you had Alex Smith and Geno Smith or something, you tried to stream and you're not really happy with what's happening with them, I mean, it should mean you're deep elsewhere, so you're not necessarily going to need as much of your auction budget for depth at, say, wide receiver or running back unless you have some injuries happening. So, I'm not opposed to spending a decent chunk of money on Cousins at this point, and hoping to get through there. At the same time, though, I mean, if you don't get him, is there that huge of an upgrade to Cousins versus Tannehill or Palmer? But, it all depends on your team and what the depth is at other positions. If I'm not deep at other positions, I'm probably not spending huge money on Cousins because I'm hoping to use that for maybe a running back that could emerge if you didn't get, say, Justin Forsett or somebody like that. So you're hoping somebody's going to come along later. But, I don't know. Right now with Tannehill and Palmer, I might go up to 10%, something like that.
All right, good point, though. Look at your roster depth and keep an eye on that because you may need it if your RB1 drops or something along that lines. Good point. Blister, let's go to you. The third and final, question from social media. Another one from Twitter here. This is the Canadian Sports Retweet. He asks, Blister, is Josh Gordon coming back early? That's the first part of the question, and then I'll ask the second part.
Unless things have changed today, I wasn't on the newswire a whole lot today, but I think he's going to sit out 10 games. So he's coming back this year. Get him for potentially your playoffs and a few others, unless I'm missing something.
Second part of the question, Blister. Also, why is Jay Cutler so awesome?
Well, Jay Cutler is awesome because of Brandon Marshall mostly right now. Matt Forte.
Matt Forte
hasn't done a lot, and Elshon has been fairly quiet, but Brandon Marshall, 3 touchdowns last game. It propelled Jay to number 3 right now in the NFC rankings for a quarterback. So, I mean, like we said before, he's got all the weapons around him. If he can make better decisions and not turn the ball over too often, he's got the guys that can go up and make plays for him. So he's very fortunate there.
Good answer. I like that. He's good because he's awesome because of Brandon Marshall. That's good. All right, let's move into segment number 2, guys. We'll take a look at some fantasy football news. This segment is called Fantasy News Buy or Sell. So in this segment, we go through some headlines in our fantasy football news, and we ask our experts if they're buying or selling, the implications of that headline. There's we could have done a whole show just on news. So I just took I know it's crazy. So I just took a few. Some of them will talk to 1 or 2 different players. So feel free to butt in on each other and that type of thing. Anyways, Blister, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Vikings could reverse course on the Adrian Peterson move. So the Vikings may reverse their decision on letting Adrian Peterson play this week in Week 3, reports Pro Football Talk. The governor, Mark Dayton, is calling for Peterson's suspension. If the team plays him, then they're going to lose sponsorship from Radisson Hotels. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to maybe stop AP from playing. So, Blister, buy or sell. You better make some plans to not play AP this week.
I think I'd buy that. I mean, there's so much going on right now in the NFL, and there's so much pressure being put on because of some of the negative publicity it's getting. I just think that, more and more keeps coming out, and we talked about this all weekend. We were down in Minneapolis, shocked on the way there to find out that AP was deactivated, and then to hear he's going in front of the grand jury. I mean, there's got to be more to it than what a lot of us know, because you don't just go in front of the grand jury for spanking your kid. And I know there's more to it even than that. We know it's a switch and this and that, but there's more allegations coming out of the woodwork now with other situations along this line. So I think that the NFL and the Vikes are going to, be feeling the heat and don't want to have any more of this kind of negative publicity. So I think, you better not plan on having AP this week. Doesn't look too good.
Great. He's my RB1 in the big auction. Beauty.
I think that makes a lot of people sad right now, and a lot of people are in running back trouble all over the league right now with injuries and suspensions. So it ain't good. We always talked about the volatility with our running backs. We always just kind of assume more along the injury line, but this year there's these extracurriculars popping up, and it really is making it tough on your 56 or 65 starting running back.
I still won the week. Nick Foles pulled it out last night, so I still won the week. So despite not having AP, so that's good. All right, so Slim, let's go on to you. Lamar Miller is able to practice. So the Dolphins running back Lamar Miller, who left the Week 2 loss to Buffalo with an ankle injury, is practicing Tuesday, reports the Miami Herald. So this is interesting because of Noshawn Moreno and his injury. So Slim, are you buying or selling with Noshawn out for a few weeks? Miller is going to be a solid RB2 in the weeks ahead.
I'm going to buy it, but I'm going to waiver on the word solid. Okay. I have him as a low-end RB2 this week, but, I mean, I get what you're saying. He's got to do something. I mean, if I'm Lamar Miller, I'm eating everything I can chemical-wise in order to get off the field on Sunday fairly pain-free and try and get some touches again for when Moreno comes back. So, someone's got to do something there, right? And if Moreno's out, then obviously Miller's going to get the lion's share of carries, and hopefully, if he can scab together 80 yards and a touchdown periodically, then I guess he's an RB2. But, I'm not confident, but, I mean, the volume says that he should be viable. So, I'm going to roll with that.
All right. Blister, going on to you. Doug Martin gets first carries at practice on Tuesday. So the Buccaneers running back Doug Martin, who sat out Week 2 due to a knee injury, received the first team carries at running back during the early portion of practice on Tuesday. This according to the Tampa Tribune. He was limited on practice on Monday, Blister. So Blister, question to you is buy or sell. Bobby Rainey is still the better play than the muscle hamster this week.
I want to buy that. A couple of reasons here. I think we all know that Doug Martin, we said it many times, he's not maybe the number one back in the coach's eyes. I mean, they didn't draft him. They're probably hoping for Charles Sims to come when he gets done his injury. But Bobby Rainey went in, played really, really well. The one part I don't like about the game this week, it's on Thursday, and typically all of your players tend to suck, basically. Yeah. I mean, Atlanta's the 26th ranked defense, basically. Yeah. They give up almost 155 yards a game on average so far to the running back. So, I just temper your expectations on a Thursday, but I think I like Bobby Rainey a little better. If they're going to go with a hot hand, he's definitely got the hotter hand and made some things happen. So I would be hesitant with Doug Martin, more so because of the injury, but also, like I said, Thursday games, these guys tend to suck. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Slim, going to you. The Chiefs won't change their game plan with Niall Davis starting. So the Chiefs coach Andy Reid said running back Jamal Charles, who's out with the ankle, can't play Sunday at Miami. The game plan won't change significantly with Niall Davis as the starter. Davis ran for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns, caught 6 passes for 26 in the loss to Denver in week 2. Slim, buy or sell with JC out for a few weeks. Niall Davis is has definite RB1 upside.
Well, he's going to be a matchup dependent RB1 upside, but yeah, I'll buy that. I mean, if he's got a good matchup, then I don't doubt that he can put up these numbers. He's a talented runner. There's no doubt. No one's ever questioned that. This week I got him as my RB10. But, it's going to totally, Jamal Charles, you would have him in the top 5 just about against anybody he plays. Yeah. Davis isn't quite there, but, I mean, matchups, the good part is they have a passing offense that's virtually non-existent, so he's going to get tons of looks, whether it's in the passing game or handoffs. So, I mean, he's going to get touches, so the production's definitely there for the taking for him, and he's talented enough to do it. So, yeah, I like his upside.
All right. Blister, heading on to you. Carson Palmer, not any better on Monday. The Cardinals quarterback who missed week 2 the week 2 win at the Giants with a bruised nerve in his throwing shoulder, showed no improvement Monday, according to the team's website. So, Blister, buy or sell. If Palmer is out, Fitz is a flex play at best.
I'll buy that. I'm a little scared about all these Cardinals, because of the rookie at quarterback, or not rookie, I'm sorry, Drew Stanton at quarterback. I don't have a lot of faith in him right now, but B, they're playing against the Niners this week, and I mean, that's a huge divisional game. They're going to be bringing it, put some pressure on this kid. So I think you got to downgrade all of the weapons that are in Arizona this week. And, if you're playing any of the dailies or something, I think there's probably safer options out there than to go with any of those guys on the Cardinals. So I definitely say flex at best. It's hard to sit if a guy like Fitz or Floyd, but I don't expect too much out of them.
All right. And Slim, last one here, even though there was a ton. With Ryan Matthews gone, Donald Brown is to see a larger role. Chargers running back Donald Brown is expected to see an increased role in the wake of Ryan Matthews' MCL sprain. So let's go, Slim, let's just go quick. Buy or sell, Donald Brown could be an interesting RB2 play this week.
I'm not sold on him this week. I kind of like Danny Woodhead a little bit more. I think he's borderline RB2. He's definitely playable. If you're starting 3 running backs, you can start him. But, I mean, I want to see just how much he gets used here and what the Chargers' offense is going to look like without Matthews. I have a feeling that Woodhead's going to get quite a few touches, or at least be on the field for quite a bit of that. And I'm not confident that Brown will have too great a game against a Bills defense either. So, yeah, we'll see. Again, very matchup dependent kind of runner. So I can't say I'm real high on him this week.
All right, and if you want to see where the boys have the players ranked this week, you can head on over to our website, thefantasyfootballauction.com. Click on the I'm reading ahead. I'm trying to speak. I'm sorry, guys. Click on the player rankings tab, and you can check out all 3 of our rankings and the consensus ranking amongst the 3 of us. So head on over to the website, thefantasyfootballauction.com, and click on the player rankings tab. Now, we'll move on. We'll take a look at some waiver wire moves heading into week 3. So we'll head into segment 3 called the Live Wire. So this is a segment where our experts tell you who you should have on your waiver wire radar this week, heading into week 3. Blister, let's start with you. Name one guy you're looking at this week on the waivers.
Well, we already mentioned, but we might as well talk about quarterback Kirk Cousins. I think if you're going to be picking up any quarterbacks off the waiver wire, he's going to be good. I don't anticipate a drop-off. I actually anticipate more production out of Kirk Cousins at quarterback for the Redskins. I think Gruden actually liked him from the start, too. I really think he can make some things happen out there. So if you're looking for a quarterback or you're unhappy with your quarterback play, maybe you got Tom Brady and he's a sack of you know what.
Don't get Slim started. You
might want to play Tom Brady this week, though. He's at home to Oakland. he's the home opener against Oakland. But Kirk Cousins is a guy that I think will be able to produce for you a lot like Nick Foles did last year when he entered for the Eagles.
All right. Slim, how about you? Who do you have on the waivers?
Well, I think Jerick McKinnon is someone you have to look at now. If AP, this whole mess, he's worth a stash. I mean, if AP and all this pressure that's coming in there, I can't see that. Even if he plays this week, I can't see too many more games before the public pressure makes the Vikings cave, or the NFL makes something's got to give here where he's not gonna play, unfortunately. And I just don't really love Asiata. I mean, he puts up some decent fantasy points when he's out there, but that's only because he's the only guy that they really have right now. To me, he's a Peyton Hillis clone, which isn't saying much, and Jerick McKinnon's much more talented. And when they actually get the confidence, I guess maybe you could call it, McKinnon, to use him more, definitely he's got the upside of all the running backs that would be available in Minnesota should AP sit out. All
right. Blister, who do you got next?
We're going to go with Kyrie Robinson. I mean, there's other running backs we already mentioned now, Davis. We talked about Bobby Rainey. We also talked about Donald Brown. So I think those guys are probably guys that are on people's benches. But Kyrie Robinson might be a guy that people couldn't afford to carry. He hasn't done a whole lot. But with Mark Ingram out with a broken hand, I think he's going to see a lot more touches this week. They're playing their home opener. I think they average like 34 points at home. So Kyrie Robinson is going to be involved in that offense a lot more than he has been all year. So if you can pick him up, now's the time to do it.
All right. And Slim, who else you targeting?
Well, if he's still out in your league, you've got to run and get Delaney Walker right now. I mean, after last week's performance,
wicked.
Some people thought this could happen this year with Wisenhunt coming from, the work that he's done with the Chargers and how much he likes to use the tight ends, to going to a place like Tennessee and the potential that Walker kind of always had, but no one really seemed to be able to tap into. And he's had 2 good games now. Like I said, I don't care who your tight ends are. You've got to probably go out. If he's on the waiver wire, you should look really hard at trying to find a roster spot for him right now.
All right. Blister, you have one for a third waiver wire?
Sure.
All right.
Well, I think Mohamed Sanu would be a guy you might want to look at if AJ Green's out. Mohamed came in last week and played, did quite well, caught a long touchdown. I think he threw a long pass as well.
Yeah, he does throw the football.
Yeah, he threw a nice pass. So, I mean, they got a good matchup this week as well. But I mean, if he's going to be the number one guy, he's going to get the most targets there. And probably in that same breath, I don't know what they lost Eifert, last week or the week before. They lost AJ Green now for a period of time. So those targets have got to go somewhere, and I think he's going to be the first beneficiary. Obviously, Marvin Jones has been out since the start of the year, so this guy could be in for an increased workload. Very cheap in your daily fantasies, $3,000 I think on Fantasy Sports for You, one of the cheaper ones on a lot of the daily sites right now. So might be a nice sneaky little play.
Sneaky little play there. Nice. Slim, you got a third one for the waivers?
I guess same kind of in the same breath. Ahmad Bradshaw, if he's still out there, which he is in probably a few leagues. I mean, T-Rich sucks. We've kind of been saying that for a long time, but now
it's bad that he looked his best last night and it still wasn't good.
Yeah, but Ahmad Bradshaw even still looked better. I mean, T-Rich did have a couple nice runs, great, but I mean, if he doesn't have an offensive line that's opening him up huge holes, then he's not really going to be that valuable. And they don't have that in Indy, the consistent line that's going to open up big holes for him. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going and getting Bradshaw if he's still out there.
All right. So those are some waiver wire guys, and we talked about some of them in the news as well. So let's move on to segment number 4, guys. This one we call the Fantasy Game Breakdown. So in this segment, we take a look at a game coming up in Week 3 that our experts feel have major fantasy implications. I don't know what Blister's about to type. He's not ready for it. So it looks like Slim Slim's going to go up first here. So, Slim, let's go to you. Why don't you break down your first fantasy game or the fantasy game you're looking at this week?
All right, well, I'm going to go for a little surprise here. I'm going to take Minnesota at New Orleans. I like this game for a couple reasons. One, I think there's a potential here for some, if you're playing daily fantasy and you need some values, I think you'll find them in this game. Obviously, I think some of the studs will be able to produce. I look at the New Orleans defense. They give up the most passing yards a game right now through 2 games. So, there you go. Matt Castle, to me, is a viable daily fantasy guy if you're on a budget. Also, if you're streaming quarterbacks or in a 2 QB league, then Castle all of a sudden is a worthy starter. You also bring in guys like, I think Greg Jennings can have a solid game this week. Cordarrelle Patterson, obviously he's going to be involved. And on the other side of the ball, I look at somebody like Kyrie Robinson, like Blister talked about. With no Ingram, to me, he's the biggest beneficiary because he kind of mirrors closer to what Ingram can do more than Pierre Thomas mirrors that. Pierre Thomas will still get what he does in the passing game, his touches there, but someone has to take this, in between the tackle running, and to me, Robinson best fits that. So I can see his touches going up considerably versus Pierre Thomas. So to me, he's a guy I'm looking at starting, especially as a flex in a lot of pools. And then obviously we got our studs in Breeze and Graham. Minnesota's pretty stingy against the pass so far this year. They're 8th. But, Breeze, to me, it doesn't matter who they're playing. He's got the potential to throw for 400. And obviously Jimmy Graham, we saw what he did last week. He, when the going gets tough, Breeze can just lock in on him. And, he can have no catches in one half and then all of a sudden finish with 10 and 2 TDs or whatever in the second half. So I think you got a mix of everything in this game. So it plays across the board for all types of fantasy owners, no matter what their strategies are, what their rosters look like this year.
All right, nice stuff. Blister, let's go to you. What game are you breaking down for week 3?
Well, I was going to break down Green Bay at Detroit. But no, I think I'm going to look at the rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Denver's going into Seattle, and I think Denver made a lot of changes to their defense and to their line to give Peyton more time, to give him some protection from the Seattle pass rush. And I think now it's time to see how they do. It's early on. Both teams are relatively healthy, so it's going to be a good test. I think there's going to be a little more intensity in here. I don't think Seattle's defense has been playing up to the expectations that many would have. They've been giving up over 225 yards passing on average per game, which a lot of people, that's a pretty high number for Seattle. So I think Peyton Manning's got to get Demaryius Thomas to be a bigger part of that offense. He's going to have to hit him more. He hasn't really been that stud receiver that we come to expect through the first 2 games. He's been good, but just not great. There's a lot of guys that have been out producing him. We got Wes Welker coming back probably this week from the suspension being reduced, so he's going to be a favorite target for Peyton underneath, and another red zone target that could take some of the looks away from Julius Thomas in the red zone. Again, and on that same note, Julius Thomas is he's one of the top tight ends in the league, if not the top right now. So there's going to be some interesting things. I think Monty Ball is going to have a tough time. He hasn't really put up the numbers we were hoping to see yet, but hopefully that changes. I don't think it's going to change this week, though. So, he might be a guy, if you're in a league that trades, you might be able to see if he has another poor performance this week. There's a lot of guys out producing him right now, so you might be able to offer a trade and get him. I think he's still his best is yet to come. But I think it'll be interesting then to see, obviously, what Denver does with this opportunity to kind of prove themselves. It's a measuring stick for them. But on the other side of the ball, I expect to see Seattle, ramp it up a notch at home. They're so tough at home to begin with. Russell Wilson's been pretty consistent. I think Marshawn Lynch is in line for another monster game. He is a beast. I think it'll be interesting to see again how Percy Harvin evolves in this offense as well. So I think it's going to be a little higher scoring because I think that the Seattle defense right now has got some holes in it that's been exploited by Phillip Rivers last week, and they've been giving up points. So I think Peyton's going to be doing his homework. He's going to be motivated to come out and kind of exact some revenge on him. But meanwhile, Seattle, they still want to prove that they're the best. So they're gonna. I think it should be a great game this week. Lots of potential here.
Lots of fantasy implications. That's what we look for in the fantasy game breakdown. Guys, we're going to move on to segment number 5. This is the weekly challenge. Segment 5 is This is the Man. So in This is the Man, we pit expert versus expert in a weekly challenge. I throw up a couple of names. They decide who's going to score more fantasy points in the coming week. So let's take a look at what the challenge looked like for week 2, and let's take a look at the results for week 2. Week 2, we had Blister took Ryan Tannehill over RG3, who Slim took RG3, and we know what happened there. So Blister gets a point for that one. At the running back position, both of them took Justin Forsett over Ryan Matthews. Not that Forsett was outstanding, but both of them get a point off that one. Next up at the running back, both experts took Shane Vereen over Pierre Thomas, and I don't really know how, Blister, because Vereen didn't see the field a whole lot from what I saw there. But anyways, we had points there for the experts as well. The boys split on Reggie Wayne versus Eric Decker. Slim takes Decker and scores a point. Next up at wide receiver, both of you took Anquan Bolden over Terrence Williams. You scored points there too. Lots of points being scored. Tight end position, Charles Clay versus Dwayne Allen. Slim gets a point for choosing Clay. At the flex position, both of you took Joique Bell over DeAndre Hopkins. We scored there. And then finally at the DST, Slim, who already shook his head earlier before we got on the air, took the Jags, and Blister took the 10-sack Redskins. So he scored points there. Yeah. So Slim scores 2 points on the ones where they split. Blister scores 2 points on the ones that they split. Overall, they were both 6 out of 8, which is not too shabby. I'll never remember to drop Adam Sandler there. Well, maybe I will. Anyways, let's move on to week 3, guys. So I just fired up these players. The guys didn't have any time really to prep, so it really is a gut decision here and them maybe trying to hold true to their rankings. So week 3 looks like this. First one is quarterbacks, guys. We talked about Kirk Cousins, so let's take a look at Kirk Cousins at Philadelphia or Tony Romo at St. Louis. Slim, you are still the loser, so you get to pick first.
I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. I mean, DeMarco Murray looks like a beast. They're just going to keep handing it off to him.
He looks like what? Blister what?
Beast, yeah.
Oh, sorry. He's on pace for 408 carries, they said.
Wow.
That's what he's on pace for. Hopefully that'll never
happens. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, if Dallas, I mean, their offensive line looks great. Murray looks good. They'll just keep handing it off. They don't have to throw it tons. Cousins on the other hand, playing against Philly, they could have to get into a shootout here. I like Cousins.
All right, Blister, who are you taking?
I like Cousins as well. I mean, I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, and I just think Tony Romo's going to St. Louis. I just think that St. Louis defense hasn't shown us much yet, but I think they're capable of a lot more, so they're going to have to put some heat on Tony.
All right, so just so the listeners remember, the way that I pick these players, it's not necessarily, are you going to play Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers? I try to pick what I think would be roster moves that guys would be considering. So you pick up Kirk Cousins on the waivers. Do you play him over your streaming Tony Romo? That's more of the question that we're looking at. So we're going to move on to the running back position. Guys, we're looking at Jonathan Stewart with D'Angelo Williams out hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, or Rashad Jennings hosting the Texans. Blister, you're up.
I'm going to go with Rashad Jennings. I don't really trust Jonathan Stewart in that backfield a whole lot. I know that Pittsburgh gives up a lot more yardage on the ground than the Houston Texans do, but Rashad can catch passes out of the backfield. Nobody else there seems to, except for Larry Donnell or some guy that they picked up on the street. Larry, my other brother Larry, my other brother Daryl. Yeah, so I'm going to go with Rashad, just thinking that his points might also come from the PPR format, not just the rushing format. That we'll hope that he does a little more with it.
All right, Slim, who are you taking, Stewart or Jennings?
I'm gonna go Jennings too. I mean, I just don't trust Jonathan Stewart. Call it a personal vendetta, whatever.
Vendetta, holy.
Yeah, I just don't like the guy. I mean, I think he's talented, but I mean, the wind could be blowing too hard that game, and he'll be hurt. So I'm gonna go with Jennings.
All right, Slim, we're staying with you. Pierre Thomas, as we mentioned, hosting the Vikings, or Darren Sproles hosting Washington.
Well, call it what's fresh in my mind, but I'm going to go Darren Sproles. He looked great on Monday night. He's the leading PPR running back, I think I heard today somewhere. So I'm going to ride that hot hand.
All right, Blister, how about you, Sproles or Thomas?
I got to go with. I like Thomas's matchup this week a lot, but Sproles is actually number 2 ranked running back overall, only second to DeMarco Murray. So we got to continue that run with Darren Sproles.
All right. Next up, wide receivers. Blister, going to you. Mohamed Sanu hosting Tennessee, or Golden Tate hosting the Packers?
Well, I like Tate, but I'm going to go with Sanu here. I just think that he's going to have the opportunity, probably get a lot more targets, and potentially could find the end zone as well. Not that Tate can't. I just think that there's going to be more volume potentially for Sanu.
All right, Slim, who are you taking, Sanu or Tate?
I want to take Sanu. I agree. I think someone's got to catch the ball with Green going to be out, but I'm going to go Tate because I just have a feeling that since he is going to just pound Gio Bernard, I love him this week. I think, Bernard's going to catch a ton of passes. I think Hill's going to get a lot of carries. They're going to use their running backs a lot, and I think Tate, this could be one of those high-scoring games, and Tate is going to be a valuable weapon for them.
All right, we finally have a split. All right, moving on, Slim, staying with you. Andrew Hawkins hosting the Baltimore Ravens, or Victor Cruz hosting those same Texans we spoke of earlier.
This is so tough for me. I mean, I think Hawkins is going to get a lot of catches. He's been pretty solid the first 2 weeks, but I'm going to just roll that. I think this is the week that Victor Cruz can finally, or Eli can finally, get on the same page and start to. They showed signs in week 2, and now I think this is what fantasy owners have been waiting for when they took Cruz, fairly early in most of their drafts. So I'm gonna go with it this week. He's got one more chance this week.
That one more chance. All right, Blister, how about you, Hawkins or Cruz?
It's Hawkins all day for me.
I know. I know you love that.
Yeah,
I put that on there on purpose because I knew you'd split.
The 21st ranked wide receiver in PPR. I'll actually go out on a limb and say J.J. Watt scores more fantasy points than Victor Cruz this week. Because Eli Manning's going to be scrambling for his life. J.J. has at least one or two.
And you're not saying in an IDP. You're saying in standard.
He could catch a pass too. So, Victor Cruz. He's not even top 50 right now. So he's got to come do something, or trade him somewhere far away.
All right, let's move on to a flex position play here, guys. Let's take a look at Brian Quick. We're staying with you, Blister. Brian Quick hosting the Dallas Cowboys, or Cleveland.
For a sec. I'm going to stay with Quick here. He's had 7 catches a game, leads the team in targets. He's the only part of that offense that is being able to put up any yards. Unfortunately, they haven't resulted into a lot of touchdowns or anything along that line, but I just think the Cleveland D is pretty strong. Bernard Pierce and Forsett are going to share, so I'll go with Quick. And I mean, the problem is all Forsett has to do is probably punch one into the end zone. He probably beats him right there, but I'm going to stick with Quick.
All right, Slim, how about you, Quick or Forsett?
I'm going to go Forsett. I think he can catch, a handful of passes out of the backfield, which will help negate that edge that I think Quick does have. You're right. I mean, he's their only viable receiving threat in St. Louis right now. The problem is it's in St. Louis. So it's going to be hard for him to score TDs. He might catch 7-8 passes, but Forsett could catch almost 7 or 8 passes, and then whatever he does on the ground. Obviously, I think Bernard Pierce is going to cut into that workload, but like Blister said, he could very easily punch a score in or something like that, and I'm gonna venture that he will.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Blister, of course, is typing away here. Just lost everything. Okay, so let's move on to the tight end position. Interesting one here, I think. Let's take a look, Slim, at Niles Paul at the Philadelphia Eagles, or Larry Donnell hosting the Houston Texans. I just realized I have 3 Giants on there.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I mean, these guys are really close for me in my rankings this week. I'm going to take Paul just because I think it could be more of a shootout there. I like Donald this week as well, though, too. I mean, the guy, I wanted to wait a week to see what he'd do, and now it might be too late after his week 2. So, but yeah, I'm going to go Paul.
All right, so Slim's taking Niles. Paul. Blister, what about you?
I too will take Paul. Deshaun Jackson's got a sprained AC joint. We don't know if he's going to be available or how effective he will be. So I got to take Niles Paul. I just think Larry Donald, again, with this Houston defense playing so well and getting at the quarterback, it's going to be tough for Eli to make a lot of completions, and I don't think Larry Donald can continue this week anyways at the rate he has. So the next thing, too, I threw on there, it doesn't have to count in the contest, but I threw it up there because...
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's why I put it in there.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a question, and we're just going to throw it out there for kicks before we go to the DST. Blister just added it to the script, so we won't count it as far as the final rankings go because we'd hate that case of beer to go on something that Blister wrote down. So let's go to you. Eddie Lacy at Detroit or Ahmad Bradshaw at the Jacksonville Jags?
Is this a joke?
Well, I don't
What's
know.
the significance behind this?
Well, there's a
Well,
little...
I'm going to take Eddie Lacy all day.
All right. Blister, what about you?
This is a side bet then for $10. I'm taking Ahmad Bradshaw.
Bradshaw. I love he just calls for $10.
Yeah. I'll take $10 from you for this because he is actually.
Why don't you change your rankings to reflect that then?
Oh.
I don't know where my rankings
What do you
even
got?
are.
Bradshaw 40th? I mean, you got
I don't know. I
Lacy
have
at
to look at
45th?
He should be right now. Eddie Lacy's ranked 41st overall right now, and he's playing against a defense that gives up 59 yards a game. So I'm not. I think it's going to be a aerial fireworks there. And Bradshaw, I mean, he's playing against Jacksonville, and he's ranked 6th right now. So I think it's a pretty easy decision.
Uh-oh.
Well, not according to your rankings.
I see fireworks.
Well, like I said, my rankings mean shit.
Don't say that. We're trying to drive people to the website.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we can't really do rankings to like the night Monday night before everything dust settles and injuries are sorted out and everything else, and I don't have time to update them. I don't have time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Put an attachment to Number Fire. They can use a Number Fire ranks. It's all the same.
Well, I don't know if they're the same. I doubt they have Bradshaw 30 spots ahead of Lacy, but maybe they do. Anyways,
they should.
I put in the script.
He's 35 in real life.
Side bet?
Age-wise or what?
Question mark?
Sure,
35 in rankings-wise.
So are we doing a side bet? Has this been determined?
No, it doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Doesn't matter. I'll never remember it next week unless it's written down anyway.
It's written down. I got it written down. Don't worry. This is good radio. All right. Well, I'll let you guys determine that off the air. I have side bet with a question mark so that we know that it was still in the air. Let's look at DST, guys. And a big game for Slim, so let's start with him. The 49ers, DST, Slim at Arizona, or are you taking the Cardinals playing the same 49ers?
Well, I think a lot of this depends on who starts at QB for Arizona. So, I mean, I'll take San Fran just because there's a chance that Palmer doesn't play at quarterback. And if he doesn't, obviously, to me, it's just kind of a no-brainer that it could be San Francisco. But so I'll kind of hedge my bet a little bit and just take them just in case Palmer doesn't play.
Okay. Blister, what about you, Cardinals or Niners?
Same thing. I think just in case Carson's not playing, I think the Niner D might be the difference. They're both so close. Like, they're ranked. Like, the results so far this year and stuff are tight, but and you'd want to go Arizona at home, but I think the Niners with Stanton playing have the edge.
All right. Well, guys, we're still less than an hour, so that leaves us time to bring back an old segment if you're interested. I have something I would like to mention, so I don't know if anyone else has something they'd like to mention, but let's go into segment number 6, and this is killing in the name of fantasy football. I would just like to mention, and I mentioned it to you, Blister, when we were in the cities, I would like to kill Norv Turner in the name of fantasy football. And not
How
for
many times
you.
have I said that?
Yeah, and not for you, but for this. And we talked about it right in the stands at the game. Opening drive, Norv Turner sets it up. He's got Patterson in the flank. He's got Patterson set out wide. He brings Patterson in motion. He puts Patterson in the backfield. He play actions the end around. He play actions and off tackle with Patterson in the backfield. It ends up scoring a touchdown. Asiata one with the drive pass, and he's going, and it looks brilliant. The script is brilliant. The opening 8 plays or whatever it was exactly what Norv Turner stayed at the stadium until 3 a.m. on Saturday night going, I don't have AP, what am I going to do? And then series number 2 through to series number 36, Patterson just lines up as a wide receiver. He barely moves along the line of scrimmage pre-snap. He does not line up in the backfield one time, unless I was in the can at that time. But I think when I was in the can was the blocked field goal. Chandler Jones! That was for the guy sitting in front of us at the game who was all over Chandler Jones. But unless I was in the can, I didn't see Cordell Patterson move from the wide receiver position, maybe into the slot, but no jet sweep look. No, Norv didn't call a bubble screen to one of the most electrifying players in the NFL right now. And the week before, Patterson gets 103 yards rushing and a score, and he doesn't carry the football once, and you don't have AP in your backfield. I'm killing that in the name of fantasy football. Anyways, I'm done my rant.
Yeah, I mean, the first, like you said, that first drive was so effective. And,
oh my God,
and they had him moving
amazing.
Around, and they had but
the Patriots didn't know what hit him.
The ball after that.
The Patriots did not know what hit him in that opening drive. The minute Patterson went into the backfield, and the minute he came through on the jet sweep, then, I mean, the linebackers were heavy with flow. Wherever Patterson was, they were shading his safety into his third. But then they didn't do anything with that.
That jet sweep is deadly, man. I mean, I never watched any of the Vikes game, but, I mean, I can picture just because I remember the Seahawks game. Like the Seahawks have really been incorporating that with Harvin, and I mean Patterson's maybe not as fast, but he's definitely as elusive, I think. So I don't know. I mean, I think that he should have. I think I said to Blister before they left that he. I expected a heavy dose of Patterson rushing out of the backfield.
Even a look. Let's have a look. Let's line him up back there at least.
Yeah.
Line him up there. Sure. Throw a bubble screen.
Wow,
they're going to play bump on him all day? Well, the minute they play off on him, actually play bump on him, it's great. Then why don't you bring Kyle Rudolph to just snap off that nickelback that's up in there and just pound him on that bubble screen, and then let Patterson curl it back up inside after he catches the football and go. I mean, I've only been the offensive coordinator for not a very strong high school program, but hey, I had Terry Carmody. I just give him the football. Right? Carmody left. So, anyways. That's what I'm killing in the name of fantasy football. You guys have anything you want to kill in the name of fantasy football, or should I just go take some blood pressure medication and call it a night?
Well, I thought I had one when we were talking in the car on the way back, but I can't remember it. But I'll kill in the name of something else, and that's officiating. The officiating, some of these lame calls that they make, and then some of these calls that they don't make. For example, when we were down there, the one pass Danny Amendola might have caught that would have went for over 20 yards.
Might have caught, yeah.
He caught it, and it was wide open, and they call a penalty not even anywhere near that play. The pass wasn't going that way. It was a terrible call, I thought. But then you watch last night, the Monday Nighter, and T.Y. Hilton gets pulled down, causes an interception, which in the end costs them the game, basically, because he gets pulled down, there's no call. Then there's the one for the horse collar that wasn't a horse collar. I mean, they got all these officials. They got replays that they use for certain things. They have big screens all over the place. I mean, you can't have that this day and age, I don't think, still costing teams games by making a bad call or a missed call or whatever the case may be. I mean, they used to say, oh, there's no flag in the play and pick it up, whatever the case may be. I haven't seen that happen yet, but you see a lot of the flags, and that's what it was. It is along the same line, Bex. We were coming home, we were listening to the Niners game on the radio against
Well, there were
Chicago.
no penalties in that game.
Oh, it was. I couldn't imagine sitting there as a fan watching that game. I
could
couldn't
hardly
imagine
listen
as a player.
to it.
You couldn't even listen to the game. It was terrible. We couldn't. I mean, the game, we could have drove from Minneapolis all the way to the Arctic Circle, for Christ's sake. There was a penalty or two every play. It took forever. It was terrible. So as a player, I'm sure it's hard to get into that game. But seriously, man, that's killing. I mean, they have enough going on right now with bad press that they don't need the refs screwing it up even worse. So that's my beef, and now I'm all worked up. Thanks a lot, Bex.
Yeah, just before you go to bed. Perfect. Slim, you got anything? You might as well make it a trifecta.
Oh yeah, no, this will be a short one though. I've been high on the Saints defense all preseason and all offseason. They made some good free agent acquisitions, and they suck, and it drives me crazy. I mean, okay, yeah, the Falcons, decent offense. You let them march down the field, you lose the game on that. But Cleveland, you can't stop Cleveland on their final drive and lose by a field. You've cost me money 2 weeks in a row now, Saints defense, and Rob Ryan, you fat piece of garbage. You need to get your
Thank you for the filter.
stuff together here and figure out what's going on. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer.
Lots of hair flipping. That's what's going on.
Well, last year with some would say less talent, they were better, and they get Jerry's Bird, and we got this aggressive play calling. It should be a recipe
bounties,
for
maybe? Is that? No,
well, he's been gone for a few years, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's pretty frustrating.
Clip, Bex. Get a haircut and get a real job, Ryan.
As a lonely, degenerate gambler and fantasy football player and daily fantasy football player, all those things, it's costing me money. I don't like that.
I don't like that. Good. So there you go, guys. We did it in less than an hour, and we did all 6 segments. I love it.
That's
good, fast pace, lots of information. Some of our best radio in the last 10 minutes here, right from the Eddie Lacy, Ahmad Bradshaw conversation on. That's good radio. I'm going to tweet that sheet.
Hey, I'll try to keep up on my rankings. I usually try to get them in early, so there's something there. Yeah. And then my intent is always to go back and fix stuff, and I don't. Sure. I fixed one. I changed Eddie Lacy to 32nd and put Ahmad Bradshaw 10th. But AP ranked 1 right now. If he doesn't play this week, well, I got to change the whole friggin' thing anyways. So it might happen. If not, just tweet me and I'll tell you what I think. I'm usually right.
Go. So if you want to tweet Blister, he's at Mr. Blister. There's no E in Blister. If you want to tweet Slim, what?
Go ahead. I'll finish in a second.
Let's see, if you want to tweet Slim, he's at Slim4MVP, and I'm at Uncle Buckets, 2 T's and an S. I haven't done our Twitter handles for a long time. But if you want to get to us globally, it's at Fantasy Auction on Twitter, at Fantasy Auction on Instagram. You can email us at footballauctioneer@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. It's /Fantasy Football Auctioneer. People are posting on the website, so there's a lot of different ways to get a hold of us with questions for the podcast, questions for your lineup. It's pretty busy stuff all the time. So anything else you guys want to add before we send it off to Mr. Whitman? I haven't done that for a while either. See how I did that? That's cool. I just tried to kill the podcast right there.
Mission accomplished.
Anyways, okay. So, Slim, I'll see you at General Supply when I'm getting my trophy repaired. Blister.
They don't fix garbage like that.
Blister, I don't know. I'm going to be by the school on Thursday when we're there for what the hell is West? What's his name?
Oh yeah. Terrence.
I wanted to give him what? Not Terrence West. That's all I have in my head right now. What's
Speaker?
Yeah, Spencer West.
Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Spencer
Spenny.
West. Oh yeah, Kenny versus Spenny. Nice, that'd be good. For Spencer West, the Me2We speaker that's going to be in talking to the students. And well, for the rest of you, I'll see you when it's springtime in the Rockies, episode 90. Wow.